We are live at Sage Paracon at Coombe Abbey, exclusive to Parasearch Radio. Oh, welcome back. We are live from Sage Paracon. I've got Penny G. Morgan with me at the moment, and she's grabbed another guest, so we've gone live again.
I'm going to get done for abuse in a minute, all the people I'm grabbing.
That's what we like to hear.
Although they seem to enjoy it.
I'll be at Sage.
Yeah, so I've just grabbed another guest. It's someone that you might recognise when his dulcet tones start speaking.
Hello, how you doing?
He's being sick.
How are you?
It's Mr. Richard Eastep.
Hey, Richard, how are you?
I'm doing really well. How are you doing, love?
I'm doing absolutely fine. So what are you making of the Paracon so far?
I think it's brilliant. I'm having a terrific time. Absolutely an amazing time. I'm trying not to use the word amazing anymore since Stephen King just said it's so overused by Americans, and he's right, but this really is a terrific event.
But you're British, so you can use it.
I've got the card for both. I've got one signed in crayon by George W. Bush that says I'm an American, and I can play that whenever I want to.
Yeah, but you're in England now, so you can use amazing.
Yeah, that's true.
And awesome.
You kind of have an English-American twang going on there.
You know, it's interesting. Carl, when I got off the plane at Heathrow, kind of heard it at its most American. 5 minutes talking to him, and Ballesta came out. And then we ended up in the car with Katrina. That dragged me back a bit mid-Atlantic. So now we're in some middle ground.
Yeah, if we could have broadcast the conversations that we had driving up from Heathrow, they were priceless.
Yes, I can imagine. I can imagine. No, I can. Having spoken to you myself before, I know the way you lead the conversations, Mr. Eastep. Well, Richard's here with all his various books, and we've been flogging them as much as we can. Yeah. I've been pushing people over to his stall as well, telling how good his writing is, and they need to buy stuff. And he's paying me later, Kerry. Don't worry, he's paying me later for it.
Excellent.
So what's your next book due to be released?
The one that just came out on the 6th is Colorado UFOs, but I just finished my manuscript for The Haunting of Fox Hollow Farm, which is going to be my Halloween book for next year.
Next year it's coming out now.
You can get a sneak peek at it, and it always was.
Is it?
They like to release a Halloween book.
Oh, okay.
So this year's was Trailer Terror, which just came out.
Yeah.
Next year's Haunting of Fox Hollow Farm. But if you read Haunted Magazine, you can get a sneak peek of that. I wrote an article about it for the latest issue. Serial killers and ghosts, you can't go wrong with that.
Not really. Herb Baumeister was a strange person, if that's one way of putting it.
Well, I mean, his nickname was Weird Herb, which should have been a clue.
Well, yeah.
When the cops talked to everyone in the neighbourhood, they said, "Oh, you mean Weird Herb?" I mean, you know, I'm weird. We're all weird, right? We're all our own kind of weird.
I haven't got 9 bodies stashed or however many it was in my garden.
That's the thing. My big vice when my wife's out for the weekend is that I like to watch Ghost Adventures, you know. I know.
And play with your Star Wars toys.
I'm very open about that.
Oh, okay.
At least. But his big thing was that he would pick up men in nightclubs and murder them, and then leave the bodies in the woods behind his house.
I suppose you have to have a thing, don't you?
Everyone's got that thing. Yeah.
Everyone's got to have a hobby.
So at least one of those is interesting. I'm with Churchill. Churchill said golf is the perfect way to ruin a Sunday morning walk.
Yes. It is. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Talking of walks...
What I'm good at.
And you take that. You be proud about that, Carl.
Ex-golf professional, I am.
Oh, right, okay then.
Boat,
whatever floats your boat. Well, I thought, as Richard has been on Parasearch quite a few times, I was going to play a little, let's call it quick nerd. So some nerdy questions that you've got to give me the answer to.
Aaron Sagers is going to destroy me on this.
No, it's not. No, I haven't done Aaron yet. That sounds really bad, Richard. No, I haven't done Aaron. I've done Katrina, and now I'm doing you. Okay. So, you know.
And I'd watch
and Carl's watching.
We had
the voyeur.
We had to explain last night. We tried our very best to explain to Aaron about Carry On movies and what they were.
He would love them, though, if he got to watch them, wouldn't he?
Well, he looked kind of horrified. So one of the guests brought up on her phone a chunk from Carry On Nurse with the sound on.
Oh, matron.
Yeah, but there was no sound. It was Barbara Windsor and all that kind of stuff going on. You know, you can imagine it. And he's like, I'm getting this. Yeah, I'm getting the vibe of this without the words. And I'm like, oh my God, you don't even need... You can hear Sid James laughing without even having the sound on. So I think we've... No, man, I'm down here doing the radio.
Come and join us, Chris.
Come and
Come and
join
join
us.
us. We've got
TV's own Chris Fleming.
Mr. Chris Fleming is coming in on the conversation.
Get back here. Get back here.
Come here.
Back here, young
come
man.
here.
No, he needs to. No, I want. Where's my Chris? Get my Chris here as well.
Sit down. Sit.
Oh,
Sit.
she's getting all bossy, everybody.
He's done what I've told him, though, Kerry.
Oh, this is the school marmerish thing you've got going on there, love.
We're live on radio now.
We're live on
I thought we were talking to
Parasearch.
the other side.
Well, no.
Chris,
I thought it's a new app you got where we talk on the other side.
Chris,
No, that's the one you're
I
working
said,
on
wow,
at the moment.
they're coming through really clear.
It's kind of talking to the other side. You can talk to somebody in Essex.
Oi!
This is the.
I know there's
BBC.
somebody in Essex. Chris knows me. I interviewed him the other week.
I wish we were. So now we're joined by Mr. Chris Fleming as
Why did you
well.
press this? No, just kidding. Just kidding.
So, guys, shush, right? Listen, have you two had a chance to...
Hello.
Hello, love. All right.
How are you?
I'm absolutely fine, thank you. How are you?
Good.
She's fangirling. You can hear it.
Good. I know, I am. I'm like proper fangirling right now. Did you have a chance to explore the grounds, you two?
Yes.
What did you make of it?
We had a long romantic walk together. Yeah, I have to explain that to my
I've
wife.
seen the photos of the hand holding as well.
In a onesie.
They make a beautiful couple.
They do. This is why I'm asking. So, what did you make of the grounds? Because everyone's focusing on the hotel itself. What about the grounds? I want to know a little bit more about that.
Well, it was nighttime when I did it.
Ooh.
It was dark, rainy, lots of shrubbery.
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 This is going horribly wrong.
And then a sparrow was flying by with 2 coconuts on a string.
This is that dream he had.
How much has he been drinking already, guys, is what I want to know.
And then I saw the knights of me.
I did tell you, Chris, to be
It was a
prepared
flesh
for the
wound.
drinking.
It's a mere flesh wound.
But I had to slow down while I was walking because there was lots of speed bumps.
Oh, my word.
I've been dealing with this since 9 a.m, Kerry.
I've been dealing with it for 3 days.
Well, if you're not paying attention, you'll trip.
This interview really sums up the whole stage.
I did trip,
think
but
it
I got
does,
up really
actually.
quick.
I think it
Nobody
does. You know
saw it.
what? This interview is just showing there are really no egos here. It's just a bunch of people who are enjoying each other's company and
No,
chatting.
that's my sock puppet. I have an ego. Hello. I don't know, I'm just being-
It is the nicest.
I didn't get any sleep last night, so I'm really goofy when I don't sleep. I have you guys have this thing where you take 2 really narrow single beds and you Velcro them together. And
And you slip down the middle.
One queen. So when I sleep in the middle, it opens up like I'm being swallowed like an earthquake.
Yep.
So I wake up with my legs up in the air, my arm in the air, and I'm between the beds going, what the hell just happened?
It's like Nightmare on Elm Street. You're
It
Johnny
is.
Depp.
Yes, I'm getting sucked into the bed. So I have to get up, re-Velcro, take the sheets off, put them back on, and go, all right, let's try this again.
Anybody who uses the words Velcro and sheets in the same sentence.
It's like you could have a nightmare that you're getting eaten by a giant Muppet.
It's like
A giant sandwich Muppet.
a giant sandwich. You want to pitch that as a show?
Thank God no one's in the room to take pictures.
Oh, no, there's a challenge on the table, Richard.
Because
Isn't it? So, is there any questions you want to ask the guys there, Kerry?
Well, I just would like to know about the outside of Coombe a little bit more, because I know Richard did a massive walk
went
around,
wandering.
didn't you?
I've seen it. Yeah, I went wandering at sunrise, and it is absolutely beautiful. If you go out, I forget which side it is. I want to say it's the west side because the sun came up on the opposite side. There's a beautiful lake, and then there's a heron sanctuary, which you have to stay out of.
heroin?
Heron, not heroin. Yes, a heroin.
Hey, has anybody seen Richard?
Oh my
I'm definitely going to Coombe Abbey if there's a heroin sanctuary.
The guy crawling on squirrels. Oh, he almost made it up the tree. Just don't steal his nuts. What can you do?
Or is heroin?
Or his heroin, yeah.
Yeah.
They're my nuts. He's arguing with the squirrel again.
You've gone from ghost to heroin just like that.
Yeah, but it's like
Hey,
you've had these
it was
conversations with me, Richard. You know how we can go off on a tangent pretty darn quickly.
See, you all think I'm always serious. I'm not always serious.
No, you're not, are you?
Aaron out takes real from your show. Let that
Oh, yes.
DVD extra.
No, but
How do I get it?
they left a couple in. Like we're driving by and we're going to the location and I see all these cows. And I go, oh look, cows, and it's kind of a takeoff of the movie Up. It says squirrel, right? I did that joke. Not everybody got it, but it's in the show. So anyway,
No, I think having been chatting to Chris for a bit this morning, I think an outtake reel of showing your proper sense of humour would be good.
yeah, there's some funny stuff.
I think that should be released.
Can you give us just one that didn't make it to screen that you
Well,
can tell us about?
I made up a rap song about the imps.
All right, we want to hear it.
I can't remember the lyrics though. It was total improv.
Let's hear it.
And then
No
and
pressure.
Barry started singing in with it about the imps, and we were laughing because it was actually pretty good. Like not maybe top 10, maybe top 40.
Yeah.
Top of the Pops video.
Better than some of the music we have in the UK.
Like,
Yes. Well, saying that, we were talking music earlier. I was talking to Chris about music, and we were talking about Bon Scott. Now, Kerry, do you remember the band I told you Bon Scott was the singer for?
Was it AC/DC?
There you
Yes.
go.
Hey, I remembered. Woohoo! Yes, get in now.
I am teaching Kerry. In fact, I think one of the reasons she didn't come to stage this weekend is I told her she was in the car with me. We would be listening to hard rock the whole. I think that's why she suddenly found out she couldn't make it. Is that true?
A little bit true, I have to say. Everyone seems to be intent on bringing me into the rock music world at the moment, I have to say.
Me. Sorry, what was that, Kerry? They're insulting my phone at the
no, it
moment.
looks like a bloody fingerprint from it.
No, it's me.
It does.
They're being rude about my picture on
yeah,
the Skype.
it is you.
No, just Richard.
Oh, sorry, just Richard. No, Chris isn't being rude. I have to be honest. Richard's being rude.
I just like zip my lip.
We at Sage Paracon would like to apologise to the many heroin users that Mr. Fleming has offended in this broadcast. We must assure
Now
you
that was a beautiful English accent.
Yes, isn't it? Just
Richard.
so, Chris, if you come back to the UK to do some more investigations,
so fired.
where would you like to go?
To the UK. I want to go to Stonehenge. Sorry.
Where?
My
Where?
dyslexia is a terrible disease.
So it's lack of sleep.
Yeah, I tried to say Stonehenge.
Stonehenge.
I would love to go to
Yep.
Stonehenge and go right in the middle, meditate, and then also break out the spirit box and see what happens. Probably these UFOs
interesting.
fly over us.
You see, I love the spirit box. I'm being serious now for 2 seconds. It's one of my favourite tools to, and Kerry knows this because I've said this before, haven't I, Kerry? That
Yeah,
I've had some amazing experiences using the spirit box. As one of the inventors of it, what do you say to people who say it's just a broken radio?
I haven't really had too many people say that.
Have you not?
No, I've had some
Okay.
people say it's just pareidolia, this and that. I said, okay, explain to me what pareidolia is. Explain to me how it's just that. And then I say to them, well, then how can you explain a direct response, sometimes a complete sentence, that goes over 7 or 8 channels?
Yes.
Please explain to me how,
Yeah.
the CC, the frequencies in the broadcast is able to do that. And then if I ask, I say, can you say the word God? And then you hear 7 or 8 gods that all follow all the way up and down the channel stream. How can radio stations be saying that all at the same time? And then if you say how many fingers you're holding up, and they say 2.
Yep.
If you write something down and they respond, and so on, there's no way it's pareidolia. And if they continue to disagree and argue, then it's because they're set in their ways and they just don't want to be wrong. So you're not really dealing with a legitimate skeptic. You're dealing with somebody that just likes the confrontation. That's all.
No, it's actually one of my favourite pieces of kit to work with, and I've had some. But Kerry knows because I've told her some of the stuff that's happened with it. I think one of the interesting ones was I was in the nuclear bunker at Kelvin and Hatch, and obviously you're 200, 300 foot under concrete there, so no radio is going to pick up.
Right.
And I had voices coming through, and we think what it was something residual being picked up because it was talking of it. When I went and re-listened to what I'd recorded off the box, it was things that would have happened if there was a nuclear bomb drop.
Oh, wow.
So they were talking about tsunamis and starvation and all that kind of stuff. So no, it is genuinely one of my favourite. Yep, it's genuinely one of my favourite pieces of equipment to use. Although it does put the excuse my language, the shits up my husband when the voices come through when I switch it on at home by accident. Especially when he's in the bath when it happens.
Chris, how did you come up with the concept of the Spirit Box?
Very simple. I've always been involved in EVP since I was a child and fascinated by it. And Frank Sumption was going around with these boxes at a lot of the events we were doing. So I had the pleasure of hearing it, listening to it. And Bill Chappell from Digital Dowsing had taken one of the old Radio Shack boxes and what we called the Hack Shack. And that was like the first portable handheld radio spirit box. And Dave Schrader introduced me to say, you got to try this. And I said, well, isn't it just all Paracon? He's like, no. So I messed with it a couple of times, and I was blown away by the responses. And then the responses kept getting better and better, so I was hooked on it. Started using it in my investigations. But I realized there were some faults to it. There were some features I would like to see. So we did a panel, one of the Darkness Radio events, Dave Schrader, and Bill Chappell was there, Gary Golka, Frank Sumption, I think, as well. And then I was on there talking about my influence with the K2 meter. And I said I want to go create a spirit box type device. Gary had the same inclination to do that as well, or not, he wanted to do that. So we kind of put our heads together. Gary was the brain of all the schematics and the engineering behind it. I was the influence behind it. And what people don't know is he gave me the demo. I messed with the demo, did some experiments, and I said, Spirits, what do you want to call this? Do you want to call it a ghost box? What's the term you want for this? And right away they said Spirit Box. So that's where it came from. Then Gary said, okay, we'll call it a Spirit Box. He's like, but we need to add a number to it. Ask them what number. So I did another session. I said, what number should we add to this? And they said 7. I said 7, and then a spirit goes S. Exactly where it came from.
Wow.
Was from the box itself. So then Gary added the P to it because it's paranormal, and there's a law in Google in the United States called the SB7 law, and that was always populating on searches, so he wanted to put the P in front of it so it would go up to the top.
Wow.
So that's where the name came from.
Okay.
And it was first introduced on Ghost Adventures Live. The demo that I had was in 2009, and you were stating that, being in the concrete bunker, the interesting thing about Trans-Allegheny was that there were 3.5-foot solid brick concrete. And when I went in there, there's no radio signals. So the responses we got live were direct responses. And I was worried, like, oh my God, are we going to get anything? But it did not disappoint.
Yeah.
I've watched the show, so yeah.
I think they had a similar thing when they went. Was it Fort MacArthur they went to in Los Angeles when they did an investigation there, and they set the spirit box going. And he also put a normal radio on as well, and said, "Look, there's absolutely no signal on the radio, so therefore, how would there be a signal coming through on the spirit box?" But it is genuinely, and say Kerry will back me up on this because I've talked about it before. The spirit box is one of my favourite pieces of kit.
Richard, have you ever used a spirit box at all?
I do. I use. Unfortunately, now I'm using an 11, and I say that because I think the 7 was better with an external speaker. I don't think the 11 has given me as good results, so I need to get my old 7 repaired. But we've had, as you said, many instances in which you get a direct answer to a question across multiple channels.
And an ongoing conversation as well.
And I'm all for skepticism, but you have to be willing to truly look at what's being said. No way when you see these recorded in decade, which there are instances that happen,
Also,
find a non-paranormal explanation for what's happening in this device. I can't give you an explanation that is conventional in nature. Like, we know it works. I don't implement this how we really.
I use SP7 from the time. I'd never seen one apart from. Would you get SP7?
For anybody listening, I'd just like to point out we are live from Sage Paracon, which is why the feed is breaking up a little. So please bear with us. They are live, and I believe they're in the reception area. So just to let you all know, that's why the feed is breaking up a little bit. Penny, are you
Can
still
you hear
with
us
me?
now?
Are you with me? Penny?
Can you hear us now?
You're coming in and out. You're breaking up an awful lot. It sounds like you're moving.
Hello?
Are you moving around?
Hello? Can you hear us?
No, you're breaking up an awful lot at the moment.
Yeah, it's a really poor Wi-Fi signal here, I'm afraid.
Have you moved?
No, we've not moved.
Oh, it's suddenly dropped. The signal was fine, and then it's just suddenly dropped out.
Yeah. Can you hear us
Ask-
now? Because it does
ask-
keep clicking up full connection.
Yeah, ask Chris to ask his guides and spirit team to step back.
Step back. Well, what we'll do then, have you got any other questions to ask the guys? Because, as I say, the signal is getting worse.
It is getting worse. One thing I would like to ask Richard is, did he do any research on Coombe Abbey before he went there?
Not a sausage. No, I didn't. What was interesting is most of the people, when we did our investigation on Friday night, all of the speakers took a group. We divided the guests up into groups of about 10, and all 6 speakers went to a different part of the Abbey, and we did research with the guests in our own style. So it was amazing how many of the guests came to us and said, we did not want to know beforehand what ghosts had been reported in what areas. So we stayed as blind as we could. So Chris, Barry, none of the guys knew, me included, knew what the history of those areas was. Then last night they brought in someone who's very knowledgeable about the Abbey, and they gave us some of the history of the hauntings here. So we all came in cold for our first night of investigation. I think that was a great choice.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing
I
choice.
still have my snowsuit on.
Chris?
Okay, well...
Chris?
Yes?
There is so much
Yes?
there is so much energy at Coombe Abbey. How are you coping with the overload, the sensory overload, being a medium?
I didn't sleep one wink last night.
Seriously,
Seriously, I didn't sleep at all.
Was that because of the energy that's
Can you
there?
hear us, Kerry?
Yeah, you've come back now. So is that because of the energy that was there?
I think it's a combination of a couple things. But, when Barry and I were doing our investigation, we got some, fantastic responses. We had 6 different groups, and every single group that said angels over the spirit box, and I would ask how many, it would say 2, and then it was either the 5th or 6th group, when it said angels are present again, I asked how many, it said 4. And then we asked, well, who's here? It said Jesus, then it said Gabriel. And I said, oh, Gabriel. And then right after I said that, you hear a spirit go, Gabriel!
Wow.
Like, excited that it's seeing Gabriel. So Barry actually has this recording. He recorded it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And I didn't know the history, but today we found out it was a monastery, right? So priests or the monks were here. Mm-hmm. So that makes sense that the angels were there.
It certainly does. Yeah, it certainly does. Wow, that's awesome. Right, the signal is very, very in and out at the moment, so we're going to have to drop this show for the moment. But don't forget, guys, keep listening. We will keep going live as and when we grab people. So it's very hit and miss time-wise, but keep an eye on the Parasearch Radio group page for when we go live. Okay, Penny, thank you so much. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Richard.
Thanks.
Catch up with you soon. Thank you, Carl.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, as I said, don't forget, we will be going live throughout various times of the day at Coombe Abbey, Sage Paracon, going live, which is why we're having a few issues with signals and whatnot. Just keep an eye out. We'll be back soon.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.